Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, man. And today we'll be reacting to why dating in 2025 sucked. Okay, bro. Video by, hold on, Stick Figurist. All right, fire it up. Video by Stick Figurist. Now it is the big 2026, and but realistically, not a lot has changed from 2025 since it's only February, bro. Like, relax. Yes, January has already came and gone, bro. It's almost the midway through February, right? It's the 9th right now, so as of this recording at least. So it's almost the midway through February, and nothing has really changed whereas where dating is concerned, right? I don't know why this thing is sticking out like this, but it's bothering me. So realistically, we gotta wait until the year plays out a little bit more and see if people start falling in love again, or if they remain single and what's it called, business minded, so focused on yourself and all that other stuff. We'll see what happens, right? Is there gonna be a freaking influx of new dating sites trying to get people's money, or are people gonna realize finally that these dating sites are just siphoning cash out of your pockets with no freaking reward in it for you, and they're just gonna delete dating sites completely and, you know, go outside and meet people? Who knows? We'll see what happens. But today we're gonna see what Figurist is talking about in his little video. And yes, this video did come out in, I think, like November or December. I just never freaking, I had it in my to watch, my watch later saved, but I just never got around to it. So now we're doing that.
You open the app. You open the app again.
Right.
Your thumb swipes past a grown man posing with a fish like it's a trophy wife.
Okay.
A woman whose last profile update was clearly during the Snapchat dog filter epidemic.
Yikes.
Someone frozen mid-squat like a mannequin having a seizure. And a decapitated torso that might be hot, but could also be your cousin. You're not sure if this is a dating app or a clearance bin for rejected OnlyFans auditions.
What?
Either way, you keep swiping. Not because you're hopeful, but because your brain is now hardwired to chase dopamine like a lab rat on coke. You're not dating. You're doom-scrolling genitals. Pavlov's Tinder dog, baby. You match. Again. Big whoop. Matching in 2025 means nothing. You could match with someone from your dreams and still end up ghosted harder than a haunted house. That little dopamine hit fades faster than your will to reply.
I ain't gonna lie, chat. The way this man is talking is going to make this video incredibly impossible for me to watch. Damn. So I'm gonna do something I never did before. Switch the video before the video even hits the midway point. Wow. So, okay. So now that we've gotten ourselves out of that hot mess, because holy, I could not survive that video, we'll instead be reacting to the sad truth about Gen Z. Video by Cheats. Shout out to Cheats, man. Hopefully he can make this a little bit more entertaining and save us from that last mess, because goodness gracious. And yes, I know I'm a little bit dark, right? But for some reason, I couldn't figure out what was going on with why I'm so orange. This is a little bit better than it was in the last video, but yeah. Whatever. Let's just watch the video, bro.
I think Gen Z gets written. I think Gen Z gets written off as dramatic a lot, but if you actually look at the stuff people our age are scared of, it kind of makes sense. This isn't random anxiety or being soft. A lot of it is very real, very structural, and very hard to ignore. We're the first generation to grow up watching everything get documented, archived, priced out, automated, and judged in real time. Housing feels unreachable, relationships feel unstable, one wrong move can live online forever, and on top of that, you're constantly being compared to people who look perfect, and you might get replaced by software tomorrow. So when people say Gen Z is anxious or paranoid, it's like, yeah, look at the environment. These aren't imaginary fears, they're just a logical reaction to the world we were handed. That's why I want to talk about the fears that actually define Gen Z. These are in no particular order, and some of these might seem more serious than others, but I think they're all valid in their own way, so I want to discuss them. Starting off, we have to discuss discuss the fear of not owning a home because this is
Bro, trying to afford a house in America in 2026 is going to be so ridiculously impossible if you are not some sort of real estate agent or six-figure making motherfucker, bro.
He ain't lying.
Or unless you're, if you're single by yourself trying to buy a house, it's going to be incredibly, ridiculously difficult, bro. Like, what? Which is why I'm just going to save up enough money and go buy a house in Japan, bro. Way cheaper. I'm not even joking with y'all. Go look it up. But, yeah, trying to buy a house in America, bro. Oh, my God. Good luck, Chad. And you know that the freaking housing market is only going to continue to go up and up and up the more these rich people buy out the freaking homes, bro. Like, what? Did y'all see that Dave Chappelle special, bro? Nigga bought up his entire town. Come on, bro. What do you think that's going to do for freaking housing in the future when more rich people start continue doing or widespreading that more? Because, fuck. We're fucked, chat. We're fucked. That's what I'm getting at, bro.
ridiculous.
I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up. I beg your pardon?
A new survey found that 21% of respondents believe World War III is more likely to happen in the next 5 years than them buying a home. Nearly the same share think they'll be more likely to win the fucking lottery in the same time frame. I don't understand how it's possible that you have people entering the workforce in Gen Z in the United States that are not even sure if they're going to get to have a house. Gen Z is the first generation that never had a realistic path into home ownership. Like, by the time we hit adulthood, housing prices were already completely disconnected from wages, so there was no buy cheap early phase that older generations had. At the same time, rent became so expensive that it had stopped being a stepping stone and it turned into a permanent drain on income, making it almost impossible to save for a down payment. On top of that, Gen Z isn't competing with other first-time buyers anymore. We're competing with corporations and investors who can pay cash and don't care about interest rates. Add
See what I'm
student loan
saying?
debt, higher mortgage rates, and wages that haven't kept up, and even people who do everything right still can't afford to buy.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why, I know y'all remember that video, Gen Z people are still, a lot of us are still living at home with our parents. Because, bro, what else are we gonna do if we are not freaking extremely freaking down to the freaking last cent, extremely anal about how we spend? We are fucked trying to live in this society, bro. And even then, there's still no guarantee that you still don't get fucked. You know what I mean? There's no set guarantee that just because you do everything right, you still won't end up getting fucked. Because life happens, bro. Bad shit is gonna happen, bro. So it's like, what do we do, bro? What do we do? You know what I mean? Because society's obviously setting it up to make us lose, bro. God damn, Chad.
Because jobs are concentrated in expensive cities, the just move somewhere cheaper argument usually means giving up career opportunities. So a lot of people are stuck choosing between financial survival now or the possibility of owning a home later, with no option that actually feels stable. According to the National Association of Realtors, in 2025, the median age of first-time home buyers in the U.S. reached a record high of 40 years old, up from 38 years old in 2024. Let's say that you just turned 19 in 2025 instead of staying 18 back in 24. Your paycheck probably didn't jump much. You're still young. You got entry-level wages, maybe a tiny raise if you're lucky. You're still scraping by on that starter salary while rent devours half of it. But in that 1 year, from 2024 to 25, the housing market cranked up in difficulty. So congrats, you aged 1 year and your income barely moved, but the bar to buy your first place effectively rose about 5%. You, for the crime of being 18 years old, are now punished with a 5% difficulty increase in experiencing an essential life purchase. Moving on from that, we have to talk about Gen Z and isolation and loneliness. It's not just that we're anxious about relationships, we are statistically more isolated than any generation before us.
Yeah, bro, after freaking COVID, bro, COVID literally ruined this entire generation, bro.
He's right, you know.
Literally ruined this entire generation. COVID was like the main start of all of Gen Z's loneliness, bro. Tell me I'm wrong, chat. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. The entire world shut down. People could not leave their homes. And now you have a bunch of these high schoolers at the time, or whichever age range you're feeding in, right? Just stuck at home, unable to go out, and just having to stay to their own vices for however long we were on lockdown for. You know what I mean? I don't know. That was like the worst thing that could have happened to this generation. And it just so had to happen to this generation. So I don't know what people...
70% of Gen Z report feeling lonely or socially isolated at least some of the time. Even though we're supposedly the most connected generation in history, nearly half of us say that we have fewer friends than we'd like, and over half of us say that we have few or no friends they can rely on for support. That is definitely more than just being quiet and introverted. And it gets crazier when you look at romantic life too. Huge numbers of Gen Z report struggling to find partners, and many young men especially have little to no relationship experience, a pattern that's been documented in recent surveys showing that roughly 44% of Gen Z men didn't date in their teen years at all, which is way higher than previous generations. Some studies even show that Gen Z reports loneliness nearly double what older generations did at the same age, making us statistically the loneliest generation ever. So the fear isn't just being single, it is feeling isolated, disconnected, lacking deep friendships and real relationships.
Because we are. This right here was happening right in front of y'all face. Y'all just sitting there looking at me, looking back at you, looking at me, looking at you, bro. This is exactly why. You know what I mean? These are the relationships people are making now.
Damn.
I know, it's depressing, bro. It's depressing. But it's the way the world has turned, bro. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I'm not a know-it-all, bro. I don't have all the answers. I don't know how we fix this, chat. Some one of y'all scholars in the comment section tell the rest of us what to do, bro. Don't actually do that. I don't believe any of y'all are scholars, bro. No offense.
In a generation that is supposed to be more connected than ever. Isolation is not just bad emotionally, it has real consequences. When people don't form relationships, they don't build families or have kids, bloodlines just end. Like, that's not dramatic, that's literal. Whole family lines stop because people never find a partner, never feel stable enough, or never even get close to that stage of life. And it's already happening. Birth rates are collapsing, marriage is down, long-term relationships are down. And it's also the case that Gen Z is on track to be one of the most childless generations in modern history. And it isn't because people hate the idea of family, it is because isolation, financial stress, and social disconnection makes it feel impossible. On a personal level, isolation wrecks people. It is linked to higher depression, worse physical health, shorter life expectancy, and higher anxiety. And it's sad because the longer you're alone, the harder it is to re-enter social life. People lose confidence and your social skills dull. Suddenly, normal human connection feels intimidating, so isolation stops being a phase and it turns into a loop. On a completely different note, getting canceled is a real fear for Gen Z because everything we've ever said online is saved somewhere. A bad joke, an old opinion, or a message.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somewhere on the internet there's probably a tweet from me when I was younger using the F slur, you know what I mean? Yeah. If y'all find it, you know, good on you. You know, I guess you can chastise me for when I was a young, ignorant child and try to cancel me for that. I'm not going to apologize for it. I was a child, bro. You know what I mean? I didn't know any better. If you want an apology for me not knowing any better, then, I don't know, go somewhere else and look for it, bro, because you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, who knows? There probably is, probably isn't. I don't even know. I was never really that big of an internet kid. And tweeting, Twitter in and of itself was never really a thing that I can get behind. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. But, yeah, there's a lot of interesting clips and videos of me when I was younger, when I'm probably on the internet. I know there's definitely some I recorded for that channel I had when I was younger. Y'all remember that video, bro. I'm not gonna play the clip. I know about that, but other than that, I don't know how much there actually is. I don't think there's a whole lot, to be honest.
Taken out of context can resurface years later and follow you around permanently. A lot of people our age grew up posting online before they fully understood consequences, and if there's no reset button for
because there wasn't any consequence at the time, because of how new the internet was. Because the internet was such a new thing, the rules weren't in place yet. You know what I mean? So naturally, when you can just go do and say whatever, you're going to go do and say whatever. There's no rule stopping you. So that's why I can't. And realistically, I'm not going to fault most of these people unless they were racist. But then again, racism is also taught and learned. Nobody's born racist, bro. It's not a thing. That's not a thing. But I digress. Unless there are some what's the word I'm looking for? Stipulations, but realistically, you can't really blame anybody for how they posted and acted when the internet was such a newer thing. You know what I mean?
Even if you change, mature,
You know what I mean?
clearly aren't the same person anymore, the record stays. When someone gets canceled, it usually isn't public or dramatic. Most of the time, it's social. People stop responding, invitations disappear, opportunities dry up quietly. You're not confronted, you're just excluded. Because of that, people self-censor constantly. They delete posts, avoid saying what they think, or stay silent altogether. Not out of dishonesty, but because one mistake can outweigh everything else that you are. That fear changes how people act, and it makes people cautious, filtered, and tense.
What is this freaking clip that I keep seeing, bro? What is this? Where did it come from? And how do I get it to use in my edits, bro?
Faces that are supposed to be social. Moving on from that, being ugly is also a real fear for Gen Z because physical appearance affects social outcomes more than it used to.
Facts.
Dating apps, social media, and online platforms prioritize faces first, which means people get judged immediately before anything else about them matters.
Do you know,
Facts.
you're the sort of person I could show you a picture of Paris Hilton and you'd say, what if she turns out to be intelligent? But what if she did?
Gen Z spends more time looking at attractive people than any generation before. Your feed is filtered with edited photos, filters, cosmetic work, and ideal body types. Over time, this changes what people consider normal and what they...
Bro, let me tell y'all something, bro. For the gym people out there, do not get on any sort of PEDs. You don't need it. Work well within your genetic limits, bro. It's okay to not be, these freaking big ass niggas, bro. We all don't need to be built like Arnold Schwarzenegger or freaking Dwayne The Rock Johnson or Ray Lewis, bro. We all don't need to be that huge, bro. Okay? You can work out, get a little bit of, tone and definition to your body, a nice cut, get your abs popping, all that good stuff without ever having to take PEDs. You can get big arms without ever having to take PEDs. It'll take longer, sure, but it's all about the freaking process, it's all about the journey, not the destination. That's the word I was looking for. Fucking hell, I don't know what's going on with me today. But yeah, enjoy the gym while you're, still building yourself to get to that point where you're freaking huge. Because once you're huge, you're going to have to just maintain being huge. You know what I mean? And it's not as fun. I don't know. I don't think it doesn't, to me at least, it doesn't look as fun. So, I don't know. I'm enjoying getting to where I want to be weight-wise. You know what I mean? And ideally, my ideal weight is probably like 170, 180 at most. And then I'm done right there. I'm not going to try to get any bigger than that. Unless I really look at myself and all right, maybe I can go to 200 and then, do something crazy.
What do you mean by that?
But, enjoy the journey, bro.
consider acceptable.
So I actually do have a new lean mass strategy that's quite controversial. What I did was I basically blasted a ton of different Adderalls and amphetamines.
Dating apps reinforce this.
No.
Matches are based almost entirely on
Do
photos.
not do that.
Many people get very
At
little
all.
feedback or attention, which leads to them assuming that the problem is how they look. Rejection becomes frequent and impersonal. Likes, views, comments, and followers turn attractiveness into numbers. People can see exactly how much attention others receive and can compare it to themselves directly. This affects behavior. People avoid posting photos, stop approaching others, hesitate to date, and become more self-conscious in public. Appearance anxiety becomes constant instead of situational. For Gen Z, looking unattractive feels like a permanent disadvantage rather than a temporary insecurity. Lastly, we have being replaced by technology, and that's a real fear for Gen Z because
That's the only
automation
one I
and
really
AI
care
are
about
hitting
right now.
as we're trying to build careers. A lot of people are spending years learning skills that software is now able to do faster, cheaper, and at scale. This creates constant uncertainty. Even
Bro, listen. Listen to me. This is one of the reasons I'm finding it so difficult to make up my mind on if I want to go back to school to pursue this degree or not, bro. Because if I do, cool, I'll feel accomplished, right? But then if I'm not still doing this, because realistically, I don't know how long I want to do this for. I'm just going with it until I get somewhere where younger me is happy. And realistically, that nigga was a dreamer, so I'll be here for a while, chat. But I'm gonna get this degree, do all this other stuff, just to freaking not use it. Because it's not, once I get this degree, I'm not going back into the workforce. I'm gonna try to do my own thing. You know what I mean? So it'll be so complicated. But at the same time, I feel like it'll be so easy since I won't necessarily have to hire workers. I could just use AI. But you see how fucked that is? You see how fucked it is? Why is that a thought that I can have? Like, knowing that other people are also freaking struggling and also need work because they also need to feed their families. But my thought is, man, fuck them niggas. It's easier for me to just, you know what I mean? So yes, it is a genuine fear, bro. Man, listen, man. This world has got a lot going on with it, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what we should do about it. I don't know where we're going to go with this, how much worse things are going to get before they start to get better. But we'll just have to wait and see, chat. You know what I mean?
People who are competent and hardworking don't feel secure because usefulness is no longer permanent. Skills expire faster than they used to, and staying relevant feels like a moving target instead of a stable path. Like, AI changes how people value themselves. When software companies can replicate creative work, problem solving, or communication, people start questioning what makes them necessary, and that leads to even more anxiety about being interchangeable, disposable, or replaceable. Anyway, I know I didn't get to cover everything in this.
At this point, bro, the most that I can see use out of us is physical labor, bro. That is the one thing AI is not yet reached the point of where it can take over from us. All right, not completely at least, but physical labor is the biggest thing that's gonna save us. So, you know what I mean? Learn like some sort of carpentry or construction or whatever, right? Yeah, you can get AI to do the freaking building part and have it scheme up a freaking building for you already, but you realistically can't have it physically build the house for you. That's our biggest asset as people right now before it gets to that point, which realistically they're trying to get it there. They're already making freaking sex robots, bro. Wow. Which is crazy to think about, but hey, I digress. Yeah, if you want to get a good career, bro, go into something like that, or electrical working or something, or welding. I don't know. Some one of those things that AI hasn't been able to get to yet. You know what I mean? So, yeah. That'll be it for this video. Both of those videos were freaking depressing as shit. I don't know why. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one, man. Hopefully it's a whole lot less depressing than these ones. Peace.